Good morning, Doug here from the Hundredfold Journey. Thanks for joining me on this Sundays with Doug, where we come alongside of you. We know that we're all on this journey together, and we're here to help you on your journey, to give you the tools and resources to help you to rewire your brain, build new habits, and create a new identity. Because a hundredfold is about a group of people that are looking to find their true identity, and by doing so, finding God's true identity. You do have the power to choose, and what this Sundays with Doug is all about is giving you those options, those choices, as far as teachings about who your identity is, and you get to choose if you want to incorporate these. One of the things we talk about every single week is the 10 truths. And these truths were true for Jesus when he lived his life here on the planet, because he was always in the right place at the right time. He had an attitude of gratitude. So I'm encouraging every single week to take this list and to memorize it, to apply it, and to meditate upon these truths, because as Jesus is, so are we in this world. We have been in a series called I Am the Dwelling Place of God. This was where we started with the tabernacle in the Old Testament. And what we found was that this tabernacle, which was demonstrated back in the Old Testament in the Bible, that this tabernacle actually represented who we are. We are the dwelling place. We are the tabernacle of God. There were two verses that I asked that you guys get, that you would memorize. 1 Corinthians 3:16, you are God's temple and God's Spirit lives in you. And then the other one is John 17, I have given them the glory you gave me, that we may be one, as that they may be one as we are one. So the amazing thing is that Jesus claimed to be one with God, right? He was 100% man, 100% God. And what this verse is telling us, these two verses are telling us, is we have the same characteristics of Jesus. I am 100% God, I'm 100% man. And this was a gift that was given to us. As Jesus says here, the glory you gave me, that they may be one as we are one, right? So we are now one with God. There is no separation. Back to the dwelling place of God. So what we found was there's 7 pieces of furniture in the tabernacle. And we started this series because the series before this was the 7 I am statements of Jesus. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the bread of life. I am the good shepherd. All of those I am statements are found in the temple. And as Jesus is, so I am. So those I am statements are also true for me. So that's why we moved into this series called I'm the Dwelling Place of God, because of the 7 I am statements from our previous study. So today we're going to be talking about God and the chakras. Now this is actually part 2. Call it part B. It's part 8, but we covered the chakras and there was a lot of information I covered last week. So if you missed last week's study, I would highly recommend going to our YouTube channel, to our website, and pull that up and watch that, because this is the second half of that, which we weren't able to cover last week. So just real quick, just a quick review. The question is, what is a chakra? A chakra is a Sanskrit definition, which is a wheel or turning. So inside of us, God has given us energy and energy points inside of our body. And there turns out there's 7 of them, according to Eastern tradition. Now, 7 is an amazing number because, as we heard, right, there were 7 I am statements. There was also 7 pieces of furniture in the temple. So God has lined all of this up beautifully. So these are energy points within our body that are called chakras. And again, we'll be talking about those in a lot more detail. So again, this was all covered last week. God created this energy. They are at specific locations within our body. And what's amazing is that chakras, just like God, they have always been there, but our eyes just needed to be opened. There's some people that don't understand, who they are and how God created them. So their eyes need to be open to that. And it's just like the chakras. The chakras are in our body, and we just need to identify where they're at and why they're there. So again, I covered all of this week. So again, the tabernacle, the dwelling place, lines up perfectly with these 7 chakras. And in the series that we went through, there's actually 3 sections within the tabernacle. There's what's called the outer court, the tent of meeting, and the Holy of Holies. And what we discovered in our series is that the Holy of Holies is right here. It's right in our cerebrum, the 2 halves of our brain, and the middle, the center of that, which is where the pineal gland is. That's where God resides, and that's where God talks to us. He speaks with us in the Holy of Holies, above the mercy seat. And what we found is that is right here. So again, everything is lining up perfectly. So back to the 7s. And again, we covered this last week in quite a bit of detail, but we went through the amazing 7s. So how everything is lined up from the tabernacle to, we went to Genesis 1:1 with the 7 words in the very first words of the Bible. We typically hear, in the beginning was in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. It's actually only 7 words, and those are described there. The 7 days of creation, the 7 aspects of Christ's life, the feasts of the Old Testament, and then back to the chakras, and also the 7 colors of the rainbow all line up perfectly, right? If you look at the rainbow, they are the same colors as the chakras. And then the chakras themselves, the symbols that they represent. All right, so I know I went through that very quickly, but last week we covered all of this in detail, so please take a look at that. Again, all of this was covered last week. So we'll talk in more detail about each of these chakras. I'm going to go through each and every one, and there's 7 of them: the Root Chakra, Sacral Chakra, Solar, the Heart, the Throat, the Third Eye, and the Crown. Now I found this cool picture, and I'm hoping you guys will be able to watch the video. Let's see if it picks it up. So this is the diagram. Can you guys see that, hopefully?
Yeah, I can see it.
So where it's moving up the spinal cord, right? Do you see the video?
Yep, we see it.
All right, cool. So that's kind of what's happening. These chakras are constantly moving, they're spinning, they're rotating, and they're going up towards the crown chakra. And then, there's enlightenment that comes, right? As each of these chakra centers are aligned. All right, so this is what we're talking about is these chakras, which are energy cells within us. Now, what's interesting is that each one of the chakras has lotus, the flower called lotus, and the lotus has different petals, and it's a very good illustration or symbol of the chakra centers and how we get here. So the lotus flower, when you plant a seed, you start in the mud. It's actually in water, right? And it's in the mud, and in there it's dark, it's heavy, it's murky, and to some degree there is the separation mindset, like, no, I'm separate from God, from spirit. That's not me, that's not who I am. And there's a certain aspect of ignorance. It's physically dense and it's heavy, right? And that's because it's underwater, in the dirt, in the mud. Yet what happens is it starts to come up. There's actually like a branch that comes up, or a shoot as they call it, comes up through to the light and eventually shoots to the top of the surface. So thinking of this picture right here, right, where it was coming up, That's what the lotus flower does, is it comes up through the mud and it comes to the surface where the light is. And then it blooms into this beautiful flower, blooms into a flower with many petals. As it breaks through into the light, it becomes open to all possibilities, awareness of who we truly are, a beautiful lotus flower. So if you start in the upper left-hand corner, right, it's all muddy and it's just dirty, it's heavy, right? And there's separation, yet it breaks through and it comes to the surface, to the right picture, and then eventually it comes to the top, and then it bears a flower with multiple petals.
I have a question.
Yep.
Is it possible to put our chakras outside of our body?
Well, yeah, so energy flows out, so yes, but where they're located, where they start, is inside. But they do have the ability to go outside of our body, right? Because you can actually feel and sense other people's vibration and frequency. Like when you walk into a room, you get that sense of hey, this room is full of joy and happiness, or it's down, and the energy, you can feel the energy in the room. That's comes from the chakras. What was that? Do you have another comment, Michael?
No, I was just gonna say it's kind of like the physical aspect when we see the physical part of ourselves versus like the spiritual that we can envision if we're not looking into the spiritual, that we're able to envision the chakras. Because I remember being in the 30 fold and even in the 60 fold, I didn't know about chakras, but I imagined them being separate from me, right? So that's what I'm trying to think of. Like I think people that they don't understand like chakras or don't want to believe in it, which is fine. They tend to probably see the chakras on the outside versus the inside. If that makes sense. I'm not sure, because right, if you see the chakras on outside and you don't believe that you are I am, then you're constantly looking on the outside, right, and not being able to actually absorb and understand the chakras and how they work, right?
Okay, so I think I might understand what you're going. So the energy that's inside of you, it's not outside. What is outside is the reflection, right? Because life is a mirror which reflects back what you truly believe and think. So if your energy chakra, and we'll go into each one, it'll actually manifest on the outside, right? So if you're not stable and firm like the root chakra, then you're going to view life as unstable and not firm. So it'll reveal itself. It'll be a mirror which will reflect back what's inside of you.
Because can't you run your chakras in a negative way?
Absolutely.
Because the chakras will still spin either way, negative or positive, right?
Correct. It has no opinion, right? It just, the opinion that you give it is what it has. Okay. All right. So again, chakras, just like God, they've always been there. Our eyes just need to be open. So let's take a look at the first one. So we're down at the first one, which is called the root chakra. And the element here is earth. And the reason for it is because, you think the bottom, right? You think of stability. It's something that you sit on, right? It's actually the tailbone is the location. And it's physical body support. It's the blood, immune system, security, family, and true identity. So I'm just going to go ahead and read it. Located at the base of the spine, this is the God-given core power that forms the foundation of our energy, strength, and ability to act. It represents the elements that are associated to earth and relates to our survival instinct, which is the fight or flight, right? I'm sure you've heard that before. It's the sense of grounding, connecting to our bodies as well as the physical plane. It is the center of our emotional and physical health. When healthy with God's life force flowing through us, we're able to make wise and sound decisions, obtain overall health, prosperity, wholeness, nothing missing, secure, as well as the powerful presence of God overflowing and extended outwardly. Okay, so each one of these, we're going to look at three different aspects. We're going to look at balanced, we're going to look at blocked, and we're going to look at overactive. So the balanced is, again, it's the firm foundation, it's earth, it's what we're walking on, right? It's the firm foundation. So a balanced one is you're safe, you feel safe, secured, centered, grounded, happy to be alive, right? Because you just know that you're safe and secure. You know, physically that could manifest as, you know, you have a nice house, you know, you live in a nice family, and there's a firm foundation, versus maybe a house, maybe you're living out on the streets and there's divorce or something like that, and you're not secure, you don't feel safe. So the blocked root chakra would be fearful, anxious, unsure, financially unstable, and ungrounded. And then an overactive, right? So in order to compensate or overcompensate for feeling blocked, is now you get greedy, lust for power, aggressive, materialistic, and cynical. So as I'm going through this, does this all make sense? Any questions up to this point? Okay. So physical problems, right? So how this would manifest is pain in the lower body, the feet, the knees, the legs, and the hips, sciatica, digestive issues, prostate problems, eating disorders, immune system problems, right? So if you don't feel stable, if you don't feel secure, then you're going to have these issues, right? Eating disorders, digestive issues, because you don't feel secure. So the whole purpose behind going through all of this is you think about it, you go, do I feel safe? Do I feel secure? Do I have pains in my lower body? Those are all signs that the energy of the root chakra is out of balance, right? So now you can think through, what do I need to do to change in order to become balanced? Why do I feel anxious? Why do I feel materialistic? Why do I have to think I have to have all these things in order to be secure or happy, right? So you come back to center and you know that it really doesn't have anything to do with all of that. It's who you are inside and how God made you. And that's the firm foundation that we should all be on. So again, it's a learning process. It's identifying who you are and the fears that you have, and then adjusting your life accordingly. All right, let's move on to the next one, the Sacral Chakra. Okay, so now we're going up the spine, and now this one is the water. The element here is water, and this is where your abdomen is, genitals, the womb, the pelvis, the appendix, emotions, and relationships. Okay, so this is located in the abdomen, lower back, and sexual organs. This powerful God-given life center relates to emotions, relations, and sexuality. It connects us to others through feelings, desires, sensation, and movement. It brings us fluidity, grace, depth of feeling, fulfillment, and the ability to accept change. This life center is also associated with water because of the elements of fluidity and grace. One thing is constant, and that is change. That is why this is so important to remain pliable. The vision and our true north never changes, but sometimes the route, package, or vehicle may change. It is also important to journey with like-minded people that are striving towards a common goal and destination. I ask you, who is on your plane? ? What are you traveling with the right people? Are they supposed to be going with you? Is everyone going in the same destination? These are very important questions. Our inner circle of who we do life with is extremely important. God will send people for your life to help you fulfill your purpose. It may be a short, long, or permanent season. Okay. So again, starting with balance. So balanced, when your sacral chakra is balanced, you have passion for life, creativity, healthy libido, optimistic and open. And creativity, right? Creativity is like, because this is where the womb is, right? This is where we are birthing ideas and creating things because it's out of our sacral chakra, right? But if it becomes blocked, then we have a low libido, fear of intimacy, no creativity, and you feel isolated, right? There's no creativity there. If it's overactive, then you're over emotional, you're fixated on sex, and you're manipulative, right? So if you feel that you need to be creative and stuff, but you get stuck, then you feel you need to manipulate circumstances in order to get what you want, in order to create something. You become manipulative, which is overactive. So some of the physical problems that may occur is you'll have menstrual problems, urinary problems, infertility, lower back pain, spleen, kidney, and gallbladder issues. So again, these are signs, these are things for us to keep our eyes open, to be aware. If these are issues that we're dealing with, then we know that's our sacral chakra. And we now need to focus on, why is it that I don't feel I'm creative? Why is it that I am manipulative of other people? Who am I surrounding myself with? What are the people that are around me? And are they on this, are we on the same page? Are we on the same team? Or are we, are they against me? And then making adjustments. Okay, any questions up to this point? All right, moving again up the spine. The next place is the solar plexus, and this element is fire, and this is in the abdomen, the liver, gallbladder, stomach, kidneys, power, and ego. It is Christ working in us that makes us strong. He says that in our weakness, his strength is perfected. This life force epicenter is known as the Power Chakra. It is located in the solar plexus and is associated with governing our personal power, will, autonomy, as well as our digestion and metabolism. God always gives us the power to choose. We can let go of our ego and rely on God for absolutely everything. The world may say ego, but God says humility. The world may seek to serve, self-serve, but we are to be Christ-like and serve others. If you always feel like a fish swimming upstream, that is because God is doing work in you. It's uncomfortable at first, but his power, grace, strength, and love consume you. His ways become second nature. All right. So again, solar plexus. When it is balanced, then you're confident, you feel in control, you have a personal power, you have a drive, and you have a good self-image. If it's blocked, then you have a low self-esteem. You feel powerless, and you have an inferiority complex. And then overactive, you're power hungry. You want more power. You're domineering, you're a perfectionist, and you're critical, hypercritical of yourself and other people. Okay. And the physical problems, how it would manifest is you have a low metabolism, poor digestion, glycemic issues, fatigue, liver problems, and ulcers, right? And we can kind of understand this one in particular, right? Ulcers, we always associate ulcers with, being a perfectionist and being hypercritical, and, you're always anxious, you're always worried, and it creates the ulcers, right? Well, this is the reason, is because your solar plexus is blocked. And when we see these manifest in our life, then we need to ask the questions, why is it that I'm feeling powerless in my life? Or why am I such a perfectionist? And instead, it should be balanced. We should be confident. We should have a good self-image. And actually, when we do that, if we do have these physical manifestations like the ulcers and the liver problems, we can actually reverse those problems, right? We don't need medication. We don't need surgery. We just get our chakra fixed, if you will, and have it vibrating at the correct vibration. And then those issues will go away. That's the power of the mind.
What's really interesting is when I was a CNA for hospice care, a lot of my patients had dementia. And well, interesting thing about that is I always go back and I always hear them say, well, God gave me a good life, and but they won't remember who you are the next day, but they'll always remember God. And that's proof to me that the chakras are always running, no matter how much memory loss that you have. I still firmly believe that when you understand God and understand what God is and love, that just never goes away.
Yep, you got it. All right, so again, we're continuing to move up. Now, what's interesting is the heart chakra is actually right in the center, right in the middle, right? So we've got three that we've worked our way up. Now we're in the center, which is the heart chakra, and then after that, there's 3 above this. So this is a key. The heart chakra is, as you could probably imagine, the heart chakra is the center. It's the key. When our heart chakra is centered, when it's right, I'm not sure what the right word is, but when it's working properly, then it does affect the other ones, right? The other 6, the 3 on the top and the 3 on the bottom. So the heart chakra, the element is air, and this associated with the heart, the lungs, shoulders, ribs, breast, diaphragm, identity in Christ, and self-acceptance. So I think this may be the most powerful energy center that God created in our body, known as the heart chakra. It is related to love, and God is love. He has created us to love deeply, feel compassion and empathy, and be as gracious and loving to others as He has been towards us. This is where our physical body meets our spiritual body. When our heart is healthy and we realize our true identity in Christ, we have a peace that passes all understanding and a joy that this world cannot give nor take away. Our thoughts, emotions, and actions are all powered by love. So we want to continually check in with our heart and make sure we are keeping it clear of all junk, any walls that have been built, any bitterness and offense, any unforgiveness. We must daily renew and cleanse ourselves from all of these things. So when our heart chakra is balanced, we are peaceful, we are loving, we are compassionate, we are tolerant, we are warm, we are open, right? Everything that we're associated with the heart. But when it becomes blocked, then we lack empathy, bitter, hateful, trust issues, and intolerant. And then if we're overactive, then we become jealous, codependent, self-sacrificing, and we give too much, right? We give because we expect something in return. So it's a gift with strings versus a balanced one where you're giving just because of love, just because you want to. And then the physical problems associated with this would be chest pain, right? Poor circulation, blood pressure issues, respiratory issues. So if you go get your blood pressure taken and you have blood pressure issues, sometimes we think, well, it's diet, sometimes we think it's other issues, but it's because of your heart chakra. It is not functioning correctly. It's not balanced. Could be a combination of several of these things, right? But your heart chakra, again, it's associated with your heart and your blood pressure. So work, work to balance your heart chakra. All right, let's move on. Throat chakra. So the element associated with this is sound. So obviously our throat is our voice. It's what we're, our speech, and it's associated with your thyroid, trachea, your throat, your mouth, your inner man, and creative identity. God has blessed each and every one with specific talents and gifts that we must use to glorify him while living out the plans and purposes that he has for us. We must have the ears to hear what he is calling his children to do on the earth today. You may have heard the saying that the two most important days are the day you were born and the day you find out why you were born. There is nothing more frustrating than doing something you were never meant to do. We all have seasons where we cry out to God, why was I born? What do you want to do with me? What on earth am I supposed to be doing? The sooner you find out why you were born, the longer you can use your talents for eternal purposes. Speak from your highest self with unconditional love. All right. So the throat chakra that is balanced is confident expression, clear communicator, creative, and diplomatic. Right. So he's speaking from the voice of clarity. When it's blocked, it can overexpress self or speak out. They're usually misunderstood. They have secrets, and they're not a good listener. They would prefer to say something rather than listen and really understand where the other person is coming from. When it's overactive, it's opinionated, loud, critical, gossipy. They yell or talk over others, and they have harsh words. So that's the overactive. The physical manifestation, what comes out is sore throat, laryngitis, swollen glands, thyroid problems, voice problems, TMG, gum, or tooth issues. So again, if these are being manifested in your life, then it has to do with the throat chakra. For whatever reason, you're not allowing yourself to be confident, diplomatic. Instead, you're either blocked or overactive. And you have the ability to change that. All right, let's move on. Third eye chakra. This element is light, and it is associated with the brain, with the eyes, with the ears, with the nose, the pineal gland, and the center of intuition. This chakra is known as the Brow Chakra, or the third eye center. And the brow, you know, your two eyebrows, and the third eye is right here between the eyebrows. It is related to the act of seeing, both physically and intuitively. It awakens our understanding and allows us to see clearly and have a healthy perspective on life. With a Christ-centered practice, we see the blessing in everything and everybody. We freely receive grace and begin to freely extend grace to others. As we draw closer to the heart of God, we begin to have an eternal perspective. The things that used to seem like big problems become smaller as we magnify God. To magnify means to enlarge. As we enlarge Christ, everything else becomes smaller and burns off of our lives. So when the third eye chakra is balanced, we have imagination, we're intuitive, we're clear, we have thoughts and visions, we see beyond the physical, right? So there's more going on than meets the eye, but when we see it with the third eye, we can see it for what it truly is. Now, when this is blocked, we have poor judgment, we lack focus, poor imagination, can't see beyond the physical. And then if it's overactive, We actually have nightmares, delusions, hallucinations, and we become obsessive. And the physical problems that manifest are headaches, hearing problems, vision problems, insomnia, sinus issue, stress, nausea, dizziness, and ear problems. So if you're seeing those things in your life, then you know that the third eye chakra is out of balance. And then our last one, the crown chakra. And the element here is thought and its connection to your divine purpose and spirituality. So remember, as we were working up the spinal cord, we were also working up through the tabernacle. And if you'll remember, this part is where the Holy of Holies is, and this is where the mercy seat is, and this is where the dwelling place of God is, right? And God said that I will talk to you, I will meet you above the mercy seat, which for all intents and purposes is right here, right? It's in between the two cherubs. And we have the Ark of the Covenant, which is the third eye. And then we have the crown chakra, which, by the way, covers our head, and it's on the top of the head, right? But it also covers the top of our head, just like the winged angels, the cherub that were on top of the mercy seat, right? There were two winged angels or cherubs that were overshadowing the mercy seat. So they were covering our head, and that's what the crown chakra does, is it covers our head. And it's a connection to our divine purpose and spirituality. This is known as the crown chakra and relates to consciousness as pure awareness. It is our connection to the greater world beyond our earthly world and the one we see with our fleshly eyes. Being one with Christ and his spirit, this allows our spiritual eyes to see. Those who are not of the spirit do not have spiritual eyes. They cannot see spiritual things. It is impossible. Through the Holy Spirit's guidance, this energy centered that Christ created brings us knowledge, wisdom, understanding, spiritual connection, and the realization that we have all power working within us. It began the day we received Christ as our personal Savior. So when we acknowledged who we were and our true identity, then our eyes were open, and our crown chakra, basically we started hearing God for the first time. He's always been there, but all of a sudden it's like, wow, okay, I am holy, I am blameless, I am the tabernacle, I am the dwelling place of God.
So
our eyes are open to that fact.
I have a quick question. So
Yep.
were the Romans, when they put the crown of thorns on Jesus, were they trying to block his crown chakra? Without and Jesus, and because it didn't really affect Jesus. Still like took it. He still was like, no, it's not going to block my ability to have faith and hope and love. And I think maybe the crown of thorns were trying to block his crown chakra, but realized that it couldn't do it. It wasn't possible.
Yeah, Michael, that's a really good way of looking at it. And yes, I'm sure there's some of that element. And again, whether the Romans really knew that's what they were doing, probably not, but on the spiritual symbolism of it, absolutely. Yeah, is they were basically saying, hey, we don't want your thoughts. We don't want your
But they're trying to block his powers.
Yeah, exactly.
And they didn't know it because they didn't believe it. But whether they knew it or not, I believe Jesus knew it. That he said, I bet you, he said, you can put this crown of thorn on me, but it's not going to block my crown chakra because it's inside and it doesn't become destroyed.
Yeah, that's right.
Because they tried to break Jesus. They tried to break all his chakras,
Yeah.
his back, everything. They tried to break every single one of his chakras. They just couldn't do it because it's not possible.
That's good, Michael. You're right. Because when they whipped him on his back, which is where our spine is. You're right. Yep. So when this chakra is balanced, we have strong faith, universal love, intelligent awareness, we're wise, understanding, right? When it becomes blocked, then we have depression, learning difficulties, weak faith, anger to God, and brain fog. And then when it's overactive, we're dogmatic. It's got to be this way, judgmental, addiction, ungrounded. There's no firm purpose. It's just, no purpose. The physical problems manifest as neurological problems, headaches, nerve pain, psychological disorders, and then Michael, Alzheimer's, insomnia, and I'm sure dementia as well, is their crown chakra is blocked, right? So how that got blocked were years of wrong thinking, and they never got that crown chakra to a healthy one. And then it manifested through Alzheimer's, insomnia, and these other diseases.
I just wanted to say one thing.
Yep.
I worked in a hospital, Brookdale, and I had a patient that never remembered my name. The next day I came to would remember my name all day, and then when I came in the next day would forget my name. And I remember I wasn't as positive to that person, and I one day I came in and I just brought the person flowers, and then they go, "You're Michael." I'm like, yeah, that's me. So like people don't understand how much vibration you can give off. Like even people that have dementia, you're able to put a really positive vibration and they'll remember that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Very good, Michael. All right, so just back to our main point. God created this energy. He is energy, right? So he's the one that put it there. And the beautiful thing is that as they are defined through these 7 chakras, it's God's way of describing the way he created us with these different emotions and physical characteristics, right? And he designed it in such a way that once we start to see these things manifested, we can see when we're balanced or out of balance. So he did this beautifully for us so that we could have a more whole, free, active, creative life. So he designed this.
I have one more
Amazing.
quick question.
Yep.
Did when Jesus prayed, was he praying to heal his chakras?
When Jesus was praying,
Because if he is 100% man, 100% God, I believe. Do you think that that was his way of meditation, was through prayer, like telling himself positive things? Because you say God's not up there, God's not over there, and Jesus prayed a lot. Then how could he be praying to somebody that's up there? Wasn't he praying to himself?
he was. So remember, we're two or one, right?
Right.
So God's spirit is in us. I am here, right? So Doug is living a life, a physical life, and God, who is spirit, is living a physical life through me, as me, with me. Right? So God, who is everything outside of me, right? He's also in you, and he's also in other people, and he created the world, and he's got, source energy. So what the prayer is, we're talking with God, right? And we're sharing this experience with him, and he's guiding us and directing us along the way. And what I'm doing when I'm praying, and what Jesus was doing, is like in the Garden of Gethsemane, not my will, but your will be done, right? So there's thoughts that I might have that say, hey, Doug, my ego is saying, go do this. But when I align it with what God's saying, he's saying, no, it's the path of love. It's the path of X, Y, and Z.
So in a way, when Jesus was praying, he was talking to all mankind, because if we all have God in us, wasn't he putting positivity energy into all of us when he prayed? Because we all have God in us, right? So when he prays and he's praying to God, isn't he praying to people, praying for people, praying for love and healing?
Yes. So back to the physical experience, right? When I pray, I'm praying about my physical experience.
Right.
And what's amazing is that the impact that I have when I'm teaching or when I'm loving, it's not only impacting you guys that are on the call, but other people that are listening and the vibration that I have around me. But you guys also are having your own physical experience, and when you are praying, you're praying, just like me, right? You're praying for those that are around you, and the effect that it has on your given world, but then also on the broader scope of things. So when Jesus prayed, you're right, he was praying for other people and asking, following that breadcrumb trail. We've talked about the breadcrumb trail and lighting up and knowing what the next thing is. And remember, he prayed continually, and that's what we should be doing as well. We pray continually. For example, when he would walk into a city, I'm sure he was thinking and praying at the same time, saying, all right, God, who can I bless today? Who's going to come across my path today? How can I be God to somebody today? And then all of a sudden, some beggar would come up and say, Jesus, please heal me. And then Jesus would say, what do you want? Oh, I'm blind. Can you heal me? So he saw that as the breadcrumb trail of, okay, God, you brought this guy to me, and now I'm going to heal him. So it's a constant dialogue. It's not just going off for 10 minutes and praying. It's a constant dialogue.
Because you talk about in the previous, and I don't believe David or Jeremy was during that time, but you talked about, how rewiring our mindset, right? But, it says that Jesus lived a perfect life and he never thought those things, but would prayer almost for him being like rewiring his mindset?
Rewiring it to what?
Because if Jesus was 100% man, 100% God, and we sometimes sin, which is called the fallen mindset, would prayer, talking to ourselves and feeding ourselves positive thoughts, would that be a type of thing that Jesus might have encountered?
And what I find in my own life is when I have those thoughts, the thoughts about my identity and the love that God has for me, and the 10 truths, as I'm going through and meditating on the 10 truths, or meditating on a Bible verse such as, God has given us everything for life and godliness. When you start meditating on those things, then those negative thoughts, and I'm going to use the word sinful, even though sin really is looking at life not the way that God wants you to. So it's the fallen mindset where we think we have to do something in order to be pleasing to God. So when I'm thinking and meditating and praying and talking, I find that those thoughts don't come into my mind, right? It's foreign to me. And then when they do come, I grab them and I hold every thought captive and I throw it away, right? And then I replace it with a different thought.
I don't think Jesus struggled with that because I think from the beginning he understood I am from the very beginning.
He did, and a lot of that had to do with his upbringing, with his parents. They knew that he was a son of God, and they raised him that way, knowing that. So whereas when we're raised, right, we're raised with parents that don't believe that. And it's not until later we find and discover, hey, wait a second, God is in me, and
It
I am
started
a
with
child of God.
because Mary had a dream had an encounter with an angel, and it's interesting because Mary never once was looking at Jesus like, don't go around saying that you're like God. Don't do that because that's going to get you killed. I'm sure she was concerned, but it's interesting that she was very, she respected that Jesus knew 100% who he was.
Right.
And, that does come from parenting,
Exactly. And it came from the parenting, both the Mary and Joseph, the parents of Jesus, believed 100% that he was the Son of God. And so Jesus grew up with that knowing. But again, our parents didn't do that. So now we're having to discover it later. And there's a whole reason, there's a whole purpose for that. There's not a blaming game. There's not a victimization. It's just realizing that that's the path that I'm on. And now I have a choice, just like Jesus had a choice. He chose every single day to remember that he was the Son of God. Just like we have a choice every single day to remember what our identity is, that I am a son of God. And then how am I going to live my life from that? And how do I do that? I do it by rest, just like Jesus did. That's why the Gospels are so important, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, to see how Jesus did it. That's why I love The Chosen, because it shows just how at ease and at rest Jesus was as he's depicted there. Nothing threw him off. All of his energy chakras were perfectly aligned, right? He wasn't over anxious. He wasn't worried, he wasn't manipulative, right? But when those chakras are out of balance, then that's what manifests. But again, we have a choice.
What's incredible about that is, even though Jesus knew his chakras were perfectly aligned, people still on the outside told him, no, your chakras aren't aligned. You're not perfect. You're blaspheme. You're a liar. And all those things, even though Jesus knew inside. So that's another thing that I've learned, is that there are going to be people that are going to be like, oh, no, you're not able. You're not capable. You're this and that. But it's important to realize your chakras, are perfectly in line. And I don't think Jesus let other people's vibrations bring him down.
Exactly. You got it. And in fact, he always had the opposite effect, right? His chakras, and again, this is where the vibration and the frequency comes in. When he entered a room, the vibration of that room changed because of who he was. And other people could sense that, and they were attracted to him, right? But the opposite of that is true as well, right? If you enter a room and you're fearful, you're anxious, you're worried, you're angry, the energy of that room is going to be brought down because of the energy that you bring into it. So you're right. So the impact of other people didn't impact him. It was almost, you could say, a shield around him, right? The energy chakras were so strong that nothing was able to penetrate into that, which is where we want to be. We want to be in such a state of peace and knowing of who I am that the outside forces can't change who I am on the inside. And again, back to the chakras, right? When we see the out of balance, when we see we're overbearing or whatever, then we know, oh, I need to change that, right? I shouldn't be in that frequency. I need to change that. And then you ask the question, well, why do I need to be overbearing? Why did I sense that I needed to do that? Oh, it's because I didn't feel secure. I didn't feel love. Maybe I didn't forgive this person. Maybe I'm holding a grudge. Maybe it's something from 10 years ago of someone that I need to reconcile with. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things. It's when you do the inner work that your outer world changes, right? Lots of people, the majority of the people, they think it's not until the outside changes, then I'll change on the inside. It's the opposite. It's when I change on the inside, then the outside will change. All right, good discussion. So God created energy. He is energy. God is energy. He is everything. He is spirit. He is love. He is mercy. He is our Father. He is omniscient, and so much more. There's no denying that we are energy beings. We are also spiritual beings. Each one of our energy centers or pressure points relates to certain life issues, organs, and specific glands. Many times we trap tension and trauma in various locations. When you learn of these locations, you can practice strategies that can heal from an internal place, and with the Lord, you will find true lasting healing. Emotional or physical tensions and or trauma could be trapped deep in your core. This can block energy and life. For example, you have ever held an offense, harbored bitterness, or been able to forgive. When you surrender that, you will experience an enormous release and your life will flow again. This is what it feels like to unblock part of our life or a specific area in our body. We want to give all this junk and garbage to God, surrender it completely, finally, so your life can flow freely. And by the way, most of this has been taken from Michelle Phelan. She actually has a website that this was taken from. So thank you, Michelle Phelan, for that information. Okay, so before we conclude, any final questions or comments?
No, what I was gonna say, and I hope it's okay if I say it, but Jeremy and I were talking to a friend of ours about the hundredfold, and we could just tell that I believe that we brought his vibrations up, because he almost started crying, and he said thank you so much, and I could tell that of course I'm not gonna say the person's name, but I can just tell that they really needed to hear that. Because guess what? They were at the same spot Jeremy and I were at when we were at Tamayo. Remember when you had to come rescue us?
Yep.
Yeah, we're at the same spot, and we just wanted him to feel that love vibration, and that's just, I feel like one of the best gifts that God gave us is the ability to share and bring others' vibrations up, and not doing it because you need to take credit for it, but doing it because it warms both each other's hearts.
Yep. Very good. All right, so let's conclude. So each session we talk about the foundation of what a hundredfold is all about, and it all started in the series 1, which is the seed and the sower, and we talked about the 3 different soils. There's the soil of 30-fold, 60-fold, and 100-fold. So the way 30-fold would look at this would be, and again, this is the outer court, and what their comment would be, this Eastern religion and those people don't believe in Christ, so they're going to hell. Basically, that's what religion would tell them. They're just, this is not for them. Chakras, you're going down the wrong path. The 60-fold, the way they would look at it is, yeah, the spirit is alive and present in me, so this is cool, but universal consciousness, count me out. It's just, it steps a little bit too far. But 100-fold, this is the goal for our group, is to show you what 100-fold looks like, is that really there is only one power, there's only one energy, there's only one body, and there's nothing else, and that I'm one with all of that, because God is one, right? He created all of this. So if there is such a thing as chakras, which there is, and these are, wheels of energy, in our bodies, and there happens to be 7 of them, and they happen to focus our attention on who we are and our identity. There's nothing wrong with this, because it's the way God created us, and there's only one power, there's only one energy, there's only one body, right? So let's don't get hung up on the Eastern religion and universal consciousness and all of that stuff. It's all talking about the same energy, which is God's energy, which is flowing through all of us, and it's in us, and we can rest because of that. But then ask yourself the question, how good is God? And the way you determine that and determines your yield, right? Is it 30-fold, 60-fold, or 100-fold? The 100-fold is the yield that I want. I want a prosperous, healthy, happy, vibrant life, and that's what 100-fold gives us. So this is just a reminder to continue to work on the 10 truths, to meditate memorize and apply these to our lives. Next week, we'll conclude our series on I am the dwelling place of God. We're going to look at the breastplate of the high priest, and you'll be fascinated to see how the breastplate was made and what it was made of. And we'll be talking about that next week. So if you want more information, if you want to find the videos, and by the way, I upload the videos as well as this presentation on our website, which is the100foldjourney.com. So go to that website and you can download all of these items. And then of course, you can also join us on Facebook. And if you have any questions during the week, you can always reach out on Facebook. So thank you for joining us this morning. And that concludes this lesson, and we will see you next week. Thanks for joining, and bye for now.
Thanks,